Welcome to District 31 Club Close Up, a video interview series where I interview clubs from District 31. We learn about their clubs, the great things they're doing to engage their existing members, and how they're recruiting new ones. I'm Christian Austin, your 2023-2024 District 31 Public Relations Manager, and really hoarse today. That voice is just not coming across because I've been shouting to everybody about the club I'm interviewing today. It's the Sylvan Speakers Club, a presidential distinguished club last year. What that means is that they earned 9 out of 10 distinguished club program points. Not something a lot of clubs do, and I'd like to give all of you a round of applause for doing that before we start our interview.
Yeah.
To give you some insight about the Sylvan Speakers Club, they are a community club, which means that anyone is welcome to join their club. They're not a closed corporate club, and they're not an advanced club either. They invite everybody in to come join their meetings. They were founded in 2002, and they meet virtually every Wednesday at noon. We're going to provide some more information about how to contact the club and how to join their meetings at the end of this video and also in the show notes. So don't worry, we'll provide the information you need to go visit the club. Today, we are going to be interviewing the club officers of the Sylvan Speakers Club. It'll be a discussion where I'll ask a specific officer a question about their club. They'll respond, and then we'll move on to the next question. In the process, each of the officers will introduce themselves and give us some insight about what they're doing within the club. But before we get started, I want to make sure that you get that notebook out, get that pen ready to take some notes, because you're going to get some great information about what Sylvan Speakers Club is doing, if you want to go join their meeting, or if you want to use some of their protocols in your club as well. But before we get started, let's get to learn about some of the Sylvan Speaker Club officers. And with that, I'd like to start with Wayne. Wayne, would you please be able to introduce yourself?
My name's Wayne Braverman, and I've been with Sylvan for more than a decade now. I joined them originally because I was looking for a good club. I was a contest speaker back in those days. I was looking for a club where I could learn things. And seeing the members, there were a lot of very good members that I thought, yeah, I can learn some things from them. And I did. I went on to win the District 31 International Speech Contest with that, which was a lot of fun. And a lot of the members of the club were extraordinarily helpful to me to help me to get to that level. I've held many roles within the club. I've been president a couple of times, VP of education a couple of times. I'm currently PR person for the club now. A couple of years ago, I earned my DTM, mostly through Sylvan Speakers, which was a relief and an honor to get that done. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for that, Wayne. Very accomplished speaker and leader within the club. Wayne has a lot of experience. For those who don't know, the DTM is the highest award you can get in Toastmasters, and you can look it up on the Toastmasters website, and we'll also mention it in the club notes about what that DTM award means. Next, I'd like to go over to Cedrin. Cedrin, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Sylvan Speakers. I have been with Sylvan since Sylvan was founded 2002. I'm one of the founding members, and I have been with this club for 20 years, and I hope I will continue on. I enjoyed being part of this club since day one, every single week. And as Wen mentioned that, I took all the roles, the Sylvan Speakers roles, and currently I'm the secretary of Sylvan Speakers. 2 years ago, I also got my DTM That's also because of the support and help from Sylvan speakers. And back to you.
Thank you, Cedrin. Thanks for sharing that. As we heard, lots of support with this club, whether it's contest or earning your DTM. Join the club and get the support you need, whatever your goals are. We're going to learn more about what the club's doing to support their members in the interview, so stay tuned. Sharon, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sharon Huang. I joined the club 2.5 years ago. Last year, I served as VP of Public Relations. This year, I serve as the president for the club. Back to you, Christian.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, are the president of the club this year, VP of PR. We've heard many people taking on different roles. You move around the officer corps, you learn the club, and then you eventually can become the president of the club as well. Moving on to Jim. Jim, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jim Luckett. I'm the Sergeant at Arms this year. And in a previous year, I was VP of Education. I've been with the club since 2018, so 5 years. I'm a business owner. I run an online business from my home, sailboatstogo.com. So part of my initial motivation in joining Toastmasters was I just wanted an additional social component to my weekly routine. Working alone in my home is a little isolating. And so I reached out to Sylvan speakers more or less on a whim, an impulse. They responded immediately, and I went to my first meeting the same day that I made that initial inquiry and joined up immediately because it was very engaging, very welcoming.
Thank you, Jim. Engaging and welcoming, a key aspect to recruiting members to your club. And Jim just gave us an example of how quickly he joined the club because of the inviting atmosphere that they created. Thanks for sharing that, Jim. Next, moving on to Shirley. Shirley, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Shirley Yang, and I've been with Sylvan Speakers since 2020, so a little over 3 years ago. I have learned, I think this club is wonderful. It's warm and everyone's very, very encouraging. I have learned a lot from this club. Currently, I'm the VPE of the club. And before this, I was a secretary, served as secretary for 1 year.
Thank you, Shirley, for joining that. As Shirley said, she joined in 2020, quickly got into an officer role as the secretary and is now the VP of Education, the second in line right below the president with a lot of responsibilities. So you can get involved in your officer role very quickly as well if you're thinking about taking on that officer role. And last but not least, YJ, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is YJ. I joined the club in last March. I have been with the club less than 1 year, but I was already appointed as treasurer of the club. In the less than 1 year with the club, I have seen significant improvement in my public speaking skills. I joined the club to improve my small talk techniques and my ability to articulate professional knowledge. Our club is very supportive, and our members try to make each meeting a memorable educational experience. Thank you.
Thank you, YJ. And as we just mentioned with Shirley getting involved quickly, YJ getting involved even quicker in the leadership. And I heard, again, supportive club. You have the support behind you. It's not as intimidating to take that leadership role when you have people helping you out to take that officer role. Thanks for joining that, YJ. Next, let's move on now that we've learned a little about the officers of the Sylvan Speakers Club to some questions. And for the questions, I'd like to open up our interview asking Wayne a question. So Wayne, I'd like to know, is there an aspect of your club that other clubs may not have that adds value for your members? Wayne.
Absolutely. When I first joined Sylvan, it was in the Verizon building in Waltham. The club was drawing people who weren't Verizon workers, and we thought, yeah, this is great, drawing people from outside of the Verizon company. Then the pandemic came. We weren't meeting anymore, and in the process, Verizon closed down its building, so we lost our location. But we were virtual at the time, so didn't have to think about that. Then clubs started coming back. We looked at how we were doing virtually and decided to stay that way for a very good reason. We are one of the few clubs in Toastmasters District 31 that draws internationally. Because we're virtual, we have members of our club who are from many different places around the world. Our club, just in the core of it, from what we have, well, not even just Massachusetts, but we have a lot of people from other countries within our club. It enriches us tremendously. We learn about each other's cultures. We don't try to say to the people from other countries, you have to be like English-speaking, total American types. We want to learn about people's cultures. We're not there to change them. We're there to help them enhance their talents. And I hope that I think the members appreciate that. We also have members at all kinds of different levels of experience. We don't beat people over the head with things. We follow along and give them feedback in the way it's meant to be given, where you share something good, then you share the areas that can be improved, and then we go back to sharing something good. Jim, who's perhaps one of the wiser members of our club, recently has been trying to teach us a new way to give feedback where we own what we say. And I believe that's enormously helpful because it helps us to think, how does this apply to me while I'm also helping the speaker? I know it sounds a little confusing, but once you do it, it's not. But we also, in the speeches that we get, I learn a whole bunch of things that I would not learn or that I haven't learned from other clubs that I've belonged to because of the experiences that our members have had. And because we are virtual and we welcome people from everywhere, we draw a lot of guests into our club checking us out. Recently, we had some, I forget what 2 countries we are, but a couple of weeks ago, we had 2 from 2 different countries. I wish I could remember what they were, but I can't at the moment. And that, I think, makes us interesting. The other thing is that we're one of the few clubs that meets every week, and we meet at noon. We're like, well, for people that were on the East Coast, we're a lunchtime meeting. For other people, we're a bedtime meeting. And for some people, we're a heading towards dinner meeting or breakfast meeting, depending on where they are. It just makes it fascinating, and it helps us to become closer. One of the good things about Toastmasters is you meet people that in your ordinary life you may not come across. In Toastmasters, you meet people from a wide range of experiences and backgrounds. And I think that makes it more appealing for us to meet. It expands the field of people that we get to know.
Thank you for that, Wayne. What I heard was international club, although it is located in Massachusetts. If you want to come to a club, learn not just how to speak and how to lead, but learn about other cultures as well. This just might be the club for you. I can imagine some of the great speeches that are given with stories that may not be familiar to people in America, and you get to learn about other aspects of different cultures and different parts of the world as well. Something that Toastmasters doesn't necessarily talk about, but that's what we give in our speeches. We tell our stories and get to learn more about our members. Another thing I heard is the level of experience. This has come up a couple of times already in the introductions. Getting involved, having that support, and it doesn't matter what level of experience you are, the club will support you at that level and help you grow.
We're like going to the international conference, a mini version of the international conference every week.
I keep that in mind. A mini version of the and every week, right? Every Wednesday, yep. As you said, either noon or maybe it's somebody's bedtime, given where around the world they're joining from.
Yep.
Thank you for that, Wayne. Now I want to move into talking a little more about leadership. In the intros, we talked about taking on those club officer roles. And I'd like to ask Shirley, how were you recruited as a club leader for the Sylvan Speakers Club?
Thank you, Christian. I joined the Sylvan Speakers in 2020, like I said. Soon after, my good friend, Sejin, who is in this club, proposed to found a new Toastmasters club at the local Chinese school. So I helped with the setup of that new club. I did not rise to be a leader at the beginning. I grew within the two clubs. Sylvan Speakers has a lot of seasoned Toastmasters and a lot of talented people. While attending these two clubs, I learned a lot from these members, not only public speaking skills, but also from their public service attitude and unique life experiences. I started from small roles like secretary, treasurer, and by, I felt my public speaking skill have been improved, and I am more comfortable to take more responsibilities. Of course, it's with a lot of encouragement from my mentors and other members. This year, I'm taking two important roles. I'm the VP of Education in Sylvan Speakers and the president of another Toastmasters club. I feel like these two roles intertwine with each other and help me to learn responsibilities of each role. And so it helped tremendously also to get into my role and take my leadership role. Back to you.
Thank you, Shirley. And Shirley mentioned being a member of multiple clubs. That's absolutely something you can do. If you decide you want to visit Sylvan Speakers Club and you say, well, I'm already a member of another club, that doesn't matter. You can join as many clubs as you'd like to join. And each club has a different experience as well. As Shirley mentioned, taking that leadership experience, maybe being a different officer in different clubs, and how they are intertwined with each other, the president and the VP of Education, how serving as president in one club, serving as VP of Education in another club, you're doing something as the president's role in one club, VP of Education in the other, and then how do they interact together? How can you bring aspects of one club to another club as well? So there's a synergy there between being an officer in one club and another club at the same time. It's definitely something that you may want to consider doing. Shirley's had a positive experience, and you could do a role like that as well. The other thing that I heard too, it sounded like you were not Shirley thinking of taking a leadership role, but you learned about that public service and you learned how taking that leadership role can help you grow as a speaker as well. It's not just about being a leader of the club because you were asked to be that. There's a lot of value behind that too, and it also helps you grow as a speaker. So thank you for sharing all of that, Shirley.
Exactly. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to talk. We talked about leadership. We talked about the aspects of the Sylvan Speakers Club that makes it unique. A club's not a club without their members. And members are not going to stay in the club if you don't keep them engaged. So I'd like to ask Sharon, can you give us some specific examples of how you're keeping your members engaged with the club, whether in meeting or things that you do outside of meetings as well?
Thank you, Christian, for your question. First, I will talk about how we engage members in the meeting. As Sylvan Speakers, we believe high-quality meetings are the main reason members keep coming back. Our meetings are not only educational, but often entertaining. You can hear attractive adventure stories and touching personal stories. You can learn knowledge in different fields, such as art, science, economics, engineering, and law. You can learn life lessons, wisdom, and insights. Of course, feedback is crucial for a successful meeting. We provide sincere and constructive feedback. Members who learn from the feedback often become active members. In our club, we also have some tips to engage members. First, we make sure everyone gets a chance to speak in each meeting. For example, in the table topic session, the topics master will call members who don't have roles to speak first. Second, we make sure everyone has a chance to deliver a speech. Last year, we started experimenting with assigning the speaker one role to all members beforehand. If there is a time conflict, members can switch times among themselves. If some members don't want to give speeches, they can just skip the assignments. This way, we get more members to participate in the meetings. Third, we assign the Toastmaster role to all members beforehand. So every member can have the experience of organizing a Toastmasters meeting. Outside the meeting, communication is also important. We reach out to our members through emails, text messages, or phone calls. Every week, members will receive multiple reminders with meeting agendas, so they will have some ideas about what will happen in the meeting, even if they can't attend it. In the last Toastmasters year, each officer was encouraged to contact 2 to 3 members who were absent for a while. We would ask questions like, what's going on? Do you have time to attend the next meeting? Or do you want to give a speech soon? Later, the officers would provide updates in officers' meetings or Toastmasters meetings. Some members did come back for meetings after contacts. In addition to communication, we also emphasize personal connections. Our club is a virtual club. Many members have never seen each other in person before. In September, we organized an in-person get-together event with another club, Newton Voices. We had a successful and memorable joint Toastmasters meeting in a beautiful park in Boston. 9 members from 7 speakers, including a friend, and a total of 18 people participated in the event. During the meeting, members from 2 groups shared their stories and insights and inspirations. After the meeting, we had another hour to chat. I believe this event provided us a great opportunity to know and understand each other better. In summary, we try our best to engage members in and outside the meeting and make them feel valued and supported. The club will help them grow and achieve their goals. Back to you, Christian.
Thank you so much, Sharon. There were so many aspects of club engagement there that it would take me 5 minutes just to reiterate all of them. But the bullet points I've got were, first of all, making sure members are able to speak at all the meetings and table topics, regardless of whether they have a role. You're going to the Sylvan Speakers Club, you'll have an opportunity to speak if you'd like to. After all, we're in Toastmasters to get better at our speaking, get better at our leadership, and there's an opportunity for that. The assigning speaker one role, great tip about that. Maybe the person can't make it, but you're encouraging them, if they can make it, to give that speech to help advance their speaking goals. Regardless of what project they're doing, they're on the agenda to give that speech and to get that practice in. And then assigning the Toastmaster beforehand too. Great idea. That is probably the best leadership role outside of being a club officer that a person can do in a meeting. So maybe they are a little intimidated, maybe they don't think they can organize the meeting, but as you said, all the members support each other, and by giving somebody the opportunity to be that Toastmaster, they can help grow their leadership skills as well in the meeting. And then the last thing I want to touch on, I thought was a fantastic idea outside the meeting, having not only a meeting in person with your virtual club where members had not met each other before. This is something other virtual clubs could consider doing as well. This was a first time that you've done this in September. It doesn't have to be consistent. It's just get everyone together. You've seen each other in these little Zoom boxes for years. Let's get together in person and actually meet each other. And then the second aspect of that is getting together with another club too. You don't have to restrict all of your meetings to just your club. Find another club in your area, the Newton Voices that you met up with. Learn about that club. Hear some speeches from other members, get to learn about them. They get to learn about you, and maybe you'll make some new friends in the process as well. So many good ideas there, Sharon. Thank you for sharing what you've been doing and the club has been doing as well.
And I want to add one point. Our
Absolutely.
president, Sharon, she actually flew all the way from North Carolina to attend that in-person meeting.
That is great. The great elaboration, Cedrin. I appreciate you adding that. I had no idea you were in North Carolina. We're talking about people from all over the United States, all over the world. Came in, met your fellow club members, and I'm guessing that was a great experience for you as well. All right, moving on. Very engaging. This is how we retain our members, but it's very important as well to be able to recruit new members. Things come up in people's lives. Maybe they can't make the meeting time anymore. And as Sharon said, reaching back out to people who had not been at meetings before to get them to come back. But if they're not coming back, we have to recruit new members as well. So I'd like to ask Jim. The club recruited 9 members last Toastmasters year. I just have to give you a round of applause for that. That is a lot of new members. Great job at that. And 5 members already. Just to give everyone some insight, we're in not even middle of November yet, and the Sylvan Speakers Club has recruited 5 new members. So Jim, I have to ask you, what are you doing to market for members? How are you connecting with prospective members, inviting them to meetings? And then lastly, how do you convert your guests into members? 3-part question, Jim. Over to you.
Okay, that last part, the conversion, is the most important, and I'm going to spend the most time on that. But marketing, when we became an online-only club, it totally changed the marketing proposition. Gone was the physical affiliation to any one location. I mean, it was unnatural for people working in the building where we met to be prospects for joining the club. That's not there anymore. But on the other hand, we're opened up to the hundreds of millions of English speakers all over the world by being online. It took us a little while to realize what a different proposition it was. And the first thing that we realized we had to do was get our listing changed on the Toastmasters International website so that we were not affiliated with Waltham, Massachusetts, but were listed as an online-only club so that people from all over the world would encounter us on that website. And that is our main tool now for reaching people. The prospect of reaching out to specific individuals is almost gone. I mean, yeah, each of us is on the lookout for friends and acquaintances that we might invite to the club. But since we don't have that affiliation to a specific locale, that kind of natural entree for recruiting people, where you have an open house in the auditorium of the building where you meet, and everyone who works in that building That's gone. So we get our leads, our guests come mostly through that website. Then the other critical thing was, where do they go once they see our name listed as an online-only club on that website? They go to our club website. And so we had to spruce that up. And we put a lot of effort last year into revamping our club website to emphasize what we think are our attractive qualities about our diversity and our welcoming nature, and the fact that, you know, we're not about competitiveness, we're about nurturing everyone's talents and meeting them at their level. We emphasize that we have many non-native speakers of English. We have people who are born in all the different countries of the world. So that too is critical, so that you get past that first step of them noticing our name on the Toastmasters website, and then second step of deciding to reach out and ask to be a guest at our meeting. But then the critical thing is converting once they come. And I think there's three elements to that. One, you've got to make them feel genuinely welcome from the get-go, from that first contact. That email they send, that online inquiry they send, has to be met enthusiastically and with genuine enthusiasm for the fact that they want to come visit our meeting. And then once they're at the meeting, showing them that we have genuine value to offer. And that just means conducting a good meeting. And there's so many elements to conducting a good meeting, but we particularly emphasize the quality of our feedback to each other, that it is constructive, that it is, you know, two parts praise and encouragement at the good elements, and one part constructive criticism for how a performance can be improved. And when we provide that feedback, we provide it as I statements. We provide, this is my opinion. This is how the speech struck me. This is what I observed about your delivery. This is what I observed about how the audience seemed to be reacting to your delivery, rather than statements from on high, you know, you should do this, you should do that. We try to avoid that. Lastly, we try to engage them actively in the meeting. If you have engaged actively in something, it has a much bigger impression on you than if you were a passive audience member. So generally, they will speak 3 times. A guest will be offered the opportunity to speak 3 times. And of course, they can always decline. That's fine. But we ask them to introduce themselves. We generally will call on them as the second or third person in table topics. And then at the end of the meeting, we will ask them to give us a few parting words, some feedback on the meeting, and that kind of thing. So I think that if they've done well with that, then they are encouraged to come back and do well again. And if there are aspects of what they did that they felt need improvement, well, then they're challenged to come back and do better the next time. And as I say, because they're active, the whole experience will have a much greater impression on them. So those are our strategies for converting guests to members. We need to show them that we're genuinely people, and we really want them to join. We really welcome them, and it's going to be a valuable, engaging experience if they will join. But there's no pressure. We tell them, come back as guests for as many times as you want, and join when and if you feel like joining.
Thank you, Jim. And I'd like to touch on your last point about converting. People may think it's a hard sell. You need to get people to join your club right then. Jim says, no, that's not the way we operate, right? You mentioned the word genuine twice, a genuine welcome, genuine value in the club, and then the 3 aspects of having the member, or I should say the guest, introduce themselves, participate in the table topics, as was mentioned earlier, calling people up who don't have a speaking role to be able to speak in front of the club, and then getting their parting words as well. You want to see from the guest's eyes what they felt your meeting was to them and what meeting value it actually had. So engaging the guests, not having them sit in the back of the room, they don't feel like they're welcome, they don't feel like they're participating, they don't feel like they're getting any genuine value out of the meeting. So providing all of that for the guests and not having to sell them really hard to join the club. They're going to see that value and they're naturally going to want to return to the club and eventually join it as well. The other aspect I heard, Jim, which is a great point to emphasize with other clubs as well, is make sure you're taking those find a club leads that come in. These are people who are actively seeking Toastmasters. And if your club is not geographically located in a specific location, the other good point you make is put it as an online club. So anyone can join from around, and you're not just restricting to a certain area where people geographically are that think I can only join my club if I'm in that geography. And then lastly, get that website up to date, because that's probably where guests are going to go to next and they want to find out about your club. If there's no information there, or if it looks like the club is not doing much, they may not even email you to inquire about when the next club meeting is. So all great points there, Jim, and points that other clubs can definitely learn from as well. Thanks for sharing those.
If I could just tag on one 15-second
Absolutely.
comment. There's another aspect of conversion, which is after they've joined, converting them to long-term membership. And we've seen people join and then disappear within a few meetings. So that's a critical thing to set the hook and really reel them in to become long-term members. And that's getting them a mentor, one of our members assigned to them as a mentor really quickly, and then having that mentor reach out to them and encourage them to get started with pathways, do their icebreaker speech as soon as possible, and really get in the flow of being an active club member in that way.
Membership, so important, especially to new Toastmasters. Experienced Toastmasters, we have mentors as well, but that new guest / member that comes in needs that guidance from an experienced Toastmaster. And as you said, Jim, they could be there for 6 months and then disappear. How do you make them that long-term member? To connect them with somebody that helps guide them and helps them meet their goals, which is the mentor that you mentioned. Thanks for elaborating on the mentorship and long-term membership of the club, which is very important. Next, I'd like to continue on the thread of membership, and I'd like to ask Cedrin, what does the club do to welcome guests and follow up with them? And is there a particular system that you have in place for that follow-up?
Thank you, Christian, for the email, for the question. Welcoming guests actually starts before the guest contacting the club. Since Sylvan Speakers is an online club, so we have guests contacting us from all over the world. And first, actually, I need to give credit to our VP of membership, B, who's not here today. And every time when there's an inquiry, she works diligently to reply to each and every inquiry promptly, and also with a very welcoming email, warm welcoming email. So regarding to the guest contact, as I mentioned, guest starts from the guest inquiry. There are two sources the guest finds us. One is from Toastmasters International's website. There's a club contact. And the second one is from our club's, the Free Toast host website, and there's a contact us form. So at both sites, what we did was that we configured those inquiry emails were sent to a club contact. There's a generic email box or email address. And the generic email address forwards the email to 3 club officers, club's president, VPE, and VP of membership. So we found this very effective because, first of all, the email goes to not only to one person, but multiple club officers. So in case this particular one club officer is not available, there are 2 more club officers who can monitor and reply to email. And then secondly is because this is set up, it's a generic box and it goes to VP, president, and VP of membership. So whenever there's a change, right, through the Toastmaster year, we change, we have new set of club officers. We do not need to do anything to reconfigure, to remember that, oh, we have to change email address here. We need to update this person's email. No, it automatically goes to the current president and VP of education, VP of membership's email. So as Jim mentioned that when the guest actually attends our meeting, we always make sure that they're very welcome. The president introduce them or they introduce themselves. At the end of the meeting, we ask for feedback, and during table topic session, we give them a chance to speak. And also, it is so important because when we're meeting online, there's no agenda. So guests tend to feel lost, especially this is the first time visiting a Toastmaster club, because there are lots of things going on. You have timer, you have grammarian, blah, blah, blah. So we always make sure that we send a copy of the agenda to the Zoom chat. So the guest has access, can open it and follow the flow, what we're doing, where we are. So these are very important. And whenever there's a guest attending, all the duty holders, the Toastmaster of the day, duty holders, make sure that we give detailed explanation, description of the roles. And table topics, we have them talk. So to summarize, I think it's really, really important that you need to make sure your club contact for guest inquiries are up to date. So preferably set up to multiple club officers. And secondly, make sure you reply to the guest inquiry promptly and with detailed information, and give them a warm welcome. And so once the guests join the meeting, and make sure that you welcome everybody, all the members, make them feel comfortable and welcomed at the meeting. And number 4 is we need to follow up with the guest. But I think what attracts our guests and keep coming back to Sylvan Speakers meeting is the quality of each of our meeting. In addition to that is the welcoming and supporting environment of the club members. Back to you.
Thank you, Cedrin. What I heard was, again, going back to genuine value. That's why members or guests keep on coming back. And there doesn't need to be a highly aggressive follow-up system. Guests are going to see the value. They're going to want to come back to the club because they come to your meetings and they see how they're growing as speakers and leaders as well. The other thing I heard was sending that agenda, putting that in the chat. Guests who join, they don't have access to the agenda. They don't have access to free Toast. Again, getting them included in the meeting, not sitting in the back of the room silently, not knowing what's going on. They have an agenda. They have information about what each of the roles are when somebody steps up and takes a new role, so that they're not guessing, what is this person doing? What am I supposed to pay attention to? What am I supposed to do? And being completely lost. Informing them throughout the whole meeting is a key aspect to welcoming guests. It's not just saying hi, being nice to them. It's about giving the information they need in the meeting to know what is happening and what value it brings to them. Cedrin, thank you for sharing your follow-up process and how you're connecting with guests. Let's move on now. We talked about recruiting new members. I want to talk a little about meeting roles. We've talked about having speaker 1 being assigned to somebody, getting people involved in table topics, very important, having people taking meeting roles, but a challenge a lot of clubs have is actually filling that agenda. So I'd like to ask YJ, what are your best practices for filling meeting roles ahead of the meeting time?
Thank you, Christian, for that question. My points will resonate with what many officers have said before, but these points are what I have generally felt. So first, our club members are keenly aware of the importance of having the meeting rules filled ahead of the meeting time to ensure a prompt start and orderly progression. At the beginning of each membership year, our VP of Education prepares lists of assigned speakers and Toastmasters of the day. At the end of each meeting, our president reminds the speakers and the Toastmasters for the next meeting of their upcoming roles. If they happen not to be present, our president follows up with an email, call, or message. The Toastmasters for the meeting diligently send out multiple reminders beforehand, usually 3 times, with the last one the night before. Our club members excel at drafting such reminders. They use cheerful language and give previews of possible highlights at the next meeting, such as special guests, speech introductions, or table topic themes. Most importantly, our club members, especially the senior ones, strive to make each meeting a memorable educational experience, thus generally attracting high-level participation in our weekly meetings. Thank you.
Thank you for that, YJ. And getting the agenda filled, the important aspect is not only assigning people the roles, but what I heard is the president and the Toastmaster of the day for the next meeting will follow up during the week to make sure that people who did sign up for roles are going to be present, because that's very important. The other thing I heard too about getting that agenda filled, we think about just having a quality meeting because the agenda is filled, but you mentioned starting the meeting on time. I've seen this many times before. We don't have the meeting filled. We end up spending 5 minutes in the beginning of the meeting trying to get the agenda filled, and that's just 5 minutes that goes away where we could be doing useful speaking activities or other meeting roles as well. So really important, have that follow-up, either the president or the Toastmaster of the day, making sure that the meeting roles that were assigned, that people are going to be able to make the next meeting and have that meeting filled so that you're not wasting any time in the beginning of the meeting. Thanks for sharing that, YJ. Well, we could go on and learn copious amounts of information from the Sylvan Speakers Club, but we have to wrap up at some point. So we've come to the conclusion of the interview. And for the conclusion, I'd like to ask Cedrin, why should somebody come visit the club? If people haven't gotten the idea of why already, please tell us why.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, first, we're a President's Distinguished Club. As Kristen mentioned at the beginning, actually, Sylvan Speakers has been President's Distinguished Club for the last 8 consecutive years, every single years. So you can just can tell the quality of our membership, the meetings. And in addition to that, I actually want to quote what's written on our club's website, the homepage. And Sylvan Speaker members are diverse. First, we have many races and abilities. We have all levels of expertise in English fluency. As Wynn mentioned, we have members from several states in the US, from Canada, Spain, Saudi Arabia. We had people join us from Taiwan, from Africa, from UK. It just like there's so much so much diversity in our club. And second, we're very supportive. We encourage each other, and then the members are always so happy and so proud to see our club members improve and grow. We're a very welcoming club. We love to add new members, to always a welcoming guest. Number 4, we're eager to learn. And with so diverse membership, we learn so much from each other. Everybody's perspective is valued. And eager to help. As Jim mentioned, that we assign mentor, one-on-one mentoring. Every time when a new member joins, VP of Education assigns a mentor. And that mentor is responsible to take the member finish at least level 1. And most importantly, I would say we are a very fun and supportive group. We take joy and pride in each other's accomplishment. So I welcome you to check us out, and Kristen will send our club's website or link there. You send the inquiry and join us. You can see yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Cedrin. And as we mentioned in the beginning, the Sylvan Speakers Club, they meet every Wednesday, regardless of location. They're virtual. You can join them, and we will post a link to their free Toast host site, which they've mentioned, which is going to provide all the contact information you need. We heard about that email that goes to the president, the VP of membership, and the VP of education. There'll be a link on there, how to contact the club, how to join their next meeting, and that'll be posted at the end of this video and also in the show notes. I'd like to conclude by saying what I heard about the Sylvan Speakers Club. They are a high-performing club. Presidents distinguished for not just last year, but the past 8 years. That is something not a lot of clubs can say. You can contact the club and you'll certainly hear back. It won't be going into a black hole when you go to find a club and you reach out to the club, because they have a fantastic follow-up system. They help members regardless of the level, whether or not you're preparing for a contest, you're trying to get your DTM, or you're somebody brand new and doesn't know anything about Toastmasters. They're a club for you. And if you belong to another club, that's not a problem either. Go check Sylvan Speakers out. You can belong to multiple clubs and you can visit multiple clubs as well. The other thing, people from around the world get to learn other people's stories. When people give speeches, they tell you about themselves, learn about different cultures, learn about different people, stories from around the world in meetings every Wednesday at the Sylvan Speakers Club. And then genuine. That was the word that stood out to me, that genuine value that you get from each meeting. Get assigned that mentor. They bring that value, become a long-term member. So join a meeting in the near future, become involved. They're going to want your feedback in the meeting. You're not just going to sit in the back of the room. Sylvan Speakers Club is a club where everyone's opinion is valued. I'd like to thank all of you today for joining me with the Club Close-Up, and I'm wishing all of you the best upcoming Toastmasters year ever.